Within the next hour, the House is expected to pass the debt ceiling deal. Once it does, the bill's going to head to the Senate, where Senate Majority Leader Schumer has promised quick action.
I cannot stress enough that we have no margin for error. Either we proceed quickly and send this bipartisan agreement to the president's desk, or the federal government will default for the first time ever.
There are still lots of timing negotiations going on in the Senate. Several senators have already said they will be voting no. Among them, Bernie Sanders. Sanders said that while the debt ceiling deal could have been much worse, he cannot, quote, vote for a bill that takes nutrition assistance away from women, infants, children, and seniors, and that fast-tracks the, quote, disastrous Mountain Valley Pipeline at a time that the future of the world is literally at stake. And Senator Sanders, an independent in Vermont and chair of the Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee, joins me now. Senator, was this a hard or easy decision to get to on this vote once you were able to survey the 99 pages of the deal?
It was not a difficult decision. Look, the bottom line is, in America today, we have more income and wealth inequality than we've ever had. People on top doing phenomenally well, middle class struggling, lower income people really facing desperate times. And you don't do deficit reduction in any moral sense on the backs of some of the people in this country who are barely making it right now. Meanwhile, the wealthiest people in this country who are doing phenomenally well will pay no more in taxes. Large corporations that have raised profits, seen huge increases in their profits in recent years, they're not going to be asked to pay a nickel more in taxes. As you indicated, there's going to be a disastrous pipeline to be expedited at a time when the scientists tell us we've got to do exactly the opposite, cut back on fossil fuel production. So to my mind, and I should also add, in 2-year time, a $56 billion increase in military spending, despite the fact that the Pentagon is the only federal agency not to have been audited. Massive waste and fraud in the Pentagon. They get $56 billion more over the next 2 years.
So here's to me the sort of argument for the deals, to the extent there is one. And I don't think anyone on the Democratic side is particularly enthusiastic about this deal. In fact, you just may have seen Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill, who's a very centrist member of Congress. She's not like waving a flag of victory around this deal. She's going to vote for it. Basically, it goes like this. There is divided government, right? Spending and appropriations constitutionally originates in the House. It's going to have to be, whatever the government spends this year, is going to have to be the product of some sort of compromise between a Republican-controlled House and Democratic-controlled Senate and a White House. That's just the case. And this is basically about what you would expect from that kind of divided government.
That's a reasonable argument. I don't think it's quite accurate. I think we could have done better through the normal appropriations process. But what we are surrendering to is the Republican hijacking of the appropriations process,
right,
and basically holding the world's economy hostage. And we're surrendering to that. And Chris, let's be very clear. In 2 years' time, they're going to be back again, and we're going to go through this whole process again. So, you know, I think certainly this agreement is nowhere near as bad as the Republican original proposal, which would have been devastated. But I think for a variety of reasons, the no vote is right.
Okay, I got to talk about the Mountain Valley Project. Now, this is a pipeline that would bring natural gas down through Virginia and West Virginia into parts of the Southeast. This has been hung up in courts for a long time. It is a priority of Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia, who you see there. There is a special language in there that protects this from judicial review, just statutorily just comes in, takes it out of the courts, gives it the permits it needs to get built. And the craziest thing about this is Tim Kaine, who represents the state of Virginia, through which the pipeline would run, says that no one from the White House called him or asked him about this, and he just found out about it in the press. What do you think of that?
Well, I think it is outrageous. I mean, and the bottom line, it's not only how they treated Tim. The bottom line is caving into Manchin, caving into the fossil fuel industry. Look, it is nobody who's watching doesn't understand that climate change is an existential threat to this country and the world. We got to transform our energy system, not build more pipelines. So this is just one more reason why I think the no vote is appropriate.
There is going to be an appropriations process after this.
Yep.
And one of the silver linings here, as I understand it, is that if the no deal is struck, the cuts end up being slightly more favorable to Democrats than a deal being struck because defense spending will be capped in a no deal scenario. Do you think that gives you a little bit of leverage as you go through the quote unquote normal appropriations process here?
The answer is we will see. Certainly, our Republican friends wanted to actually increase military spending far more than is in this legislation. They are very concerned about the deficit, except when it comes to tax breaks for billionaires and spending more money on the military.
All right, Senator Bernie Sanders, thank you very much for joining us tonight.